Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to another edition of Talkin Ball. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers with my co-host, lifetime Longhorn CJ Vogel. He's the man in the know all the time. One of the hardest working men that I know, actually, man. CJ's I don't know when you rest, CJ. I'm glad you're a part of the team, though. No doubt. How you doing, CJ? You good?
Hey, it's the off season now, right? But the news cycle hasn't been slow, so I'm ready for it, Rod. It's gonna be a good day.
Exactly. I thought it was to slow down a little bit. That's a good thing. I think that means the program's in a really good place. Seems like every topic is a hot topic. So we'll hit a few of them here on Talkin Ball. Before we get started, though, we always got to give some props to our sponsor. We're really, obviously, very grateful to our sponsor and for all their support. Once again, John Donovan, the president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group. He is our sponsor. John is a proud Texas Ex's Life member, and his wife and all of 6 siblings of John's are also UT grads, baby. That is a Longhorn legacy. So it is his deep Longhorn family tradition that led John to dedicate his firm to providing total wealth management for Texas alumni, employees, family, and friends. John is a certified financial planner who has spent over 30 years. That's right, folks, 30 years, 3 decades providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to all his clients. He's a proud lifetime Longhorn, folks, and Longhorn Wealth is repeating its offer to extend to each and every Longhorn alumni, employee, or fan a free 90-minute consultation. That's right, you got nothing to lose but everything to gain. It is a free 90-minute consultation to explore how Longhorn Wealth can help you develop and maximize your tax-free and tax-efficient financial future. So please give John Donovan and his Longhorn Wealth team a call at 972-707-4900. That's 972-707-4900, or visit longhornwealth.net. That's longhornwealth.net. So thank you to John Donovan and his Longhorn Wealth Management Group. All right, let's get right to it, CJ, because there's a lot to cover here in Talkin Ball. Let's start with another confirmed departure. This time it is Jaylan Ford. He put out a very moving announcement. I like it. It was very sentimental. I'm liking these sentimental videos. I'm actually a little jealous. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little jealous. Because back in my day, even if everybody knew Rodby was coming back to school after my junior year, which there was no doubt that Rodby was coming, I was a mid-round draft pick, I still would have put out one of these really cool sentimental videos to either say that I was coming back, and then once I was leaving, I would have put out one just to say I was leaving, because I think Longhorn fans, they like these. They like the sentimental approach. It makes them emotional, makes them think about the legacy of the player and what the player meant to him. I didn't have that option. Didn't have that advantage. I think these guys actually do themselves a lot of good standing out in Longhorn fans' memories with these really cool videos. And Jaylan Ford had one of the best that I can remember.
I mean, this is just the era in which to play college football in, Rod. You were a little bit too early. I mean, on top of the NIL, but like the cool graphic departments of signing day, it's everything. They go the whole 9 yards. And this was, like you said, it's just another example of the Texas media team going above and beyond for a cool video like this. It was great. And like you talked about the Jordan Whittington video last week, and it's tugging at your heartstring, your emotional. It hits. And so I thought the Jaylan Ford video did that as well. And I do think it is a testament to really encapsulating the entire career of Jaylan Ford. Because let's remember, he was the lowest recruited commit in that 2020 class.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's wild.
And I think that those videos, like, they show the highlights, they show some cool moments, celebrating with the coaching staff, with other teammates, family members. It's just a cool thing to sit back and say, wow, like, we got it good with Jaylan Ford and Jordan Whittington and Xavier Worthy and guys like that we got to watch over the last couple of years. It's a fun, almost a time capsule of just what we got to witness over the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's kind of an example of how Sark says we don't care about stars, right?
Exactly.
He was the lowest rated recruit in that class. And when I talked to Jaylan Ford, he talked about literally it was the midnight hour that Texas came into the recruitment. Like, they came in at the last minute recruiting him and made it a tough decision for him. He hadn't visited the campus when he committed to Texas. He didn't even visit. It was just and by the way, he also mentioned, this is why Jaylan Ford, it's a great story to show you the transformation of the program right now. He even mentioned that Texas at the time didn't have a great reputation for developing players at his position. and development was an issue. And he was talking about how Utah actually was doing a better job at the time in developing talent than Texas, which is not wrong. Right. And he said he went with his heart, honestly, which led him to Texas. He wanted to go to Texas. He said, he thought about where he wanted to be and what he wanted to accomplish and what he wanted his legacy to be, and it led him to Texas. I'm glad it did. But I do think, like you said, he is a testament in a lot of ways to the development in this class, to the really the evaluations. Like they said, he's the lowest rated recruit in that class. Texas went after him because they saw the potential, regardless of the blue chip status or no blue chip status. So I just think, and then, like I said, he ended up developing into being a blue chip player. So he embodies the 5-star culture and the 5-star development. Texas has the 5-star players, the Quinn Ewers of the world, your JT Sanders of the world. That's your X-Men, that's your Kelvin Banks. You got those guys, and those guys are key. But you also have to bring in the guys who do have a bit of that. They got that chip on their shoulder. They do come in with a little bit more of that competitive sickness because they haven't had the accolades yet. They haven't necessarily been given a lot of notoriety, and then they still got that. Now the 5-star guys, they're 5 stars for a reason because they're expected to be NFL players one day. The 3 stars aren't that. They come in with a different grind and a different mindset, and I think you got to have a healthy balance of the two in your program. Yeah. All right, 5-star players and the 5-star culture. Those guys help there's no doubt Jaylan Ford helps your 5-star culture.
No, 100%. I think he's actually the poster boy for someone you can point to and say, we developed him. Him and T'Vondre Sweat, this year specifically, the 2 guys who were 3-star guys coming out, you now see them as almost day 2 locks to go in the NFL draft, barring a good combine and good pro day measurable wise. Both of them are guys that Texas can now point to and say, development isn't an issue anymore. Look at what we've done. There's an Outland Award trophy sitting in Austin right now. Jaylan Ford was just, the runner-up for the Big 12 Player of the Year a year ago. Now he's set to go in, the NFL draft very early at a position in which we haven't seen a lot of production out of, dating back to 2009. So it's a credit to what Jeff Choate did, what Pete Kwiatkowski is doing, and now it's up to Johnny Nansen to continue that progression with what is hoping and expecting to be a pretty talented linebacking group right now. But to Jaylan Ford, incredible career, awesome time getting to watch him. For a while, it felt like any big play that needed to be made, he was making it on the defensive side of the ball. So it's been a blast to watch him. I'm excited to watch him in the NFL. And, like we said, if there's anybody that can continue to play with a chip on his shoulder, the urge to develop and get better day in and day out, it's a guy who was counted out as often as Jaylan Ford was, and it's going to make an NFL team very happy one day.
Yeah, guy will be, in my opinion, a starter in the NFL at one point. I don't know how the career is going to go, but it's just the value of the linebacker position at times, because he's not a pass rushing linebacker necessarily. He can do it. He's actually probably the best coverage linebacker in the country. That is going to help him, like I said, end up being a starter in the NFL because it's a coverage league. But because of linebacker being what it is, him not being a pass rushing linebacker, and I believe Bobby said that he came in after hernia surgery. So not surgery, but a hernia injury. So hopefully he'll be ready for workouts, and that doesn't need surgery or anything like that. But man, he's just tough. He's tough as nails. And he also admitted, we asked him why didn't he leave after last season? He had one of the best seasons in college football, one of the best seasons in Texas football history for a linebacker. Why didn't you just leave? He should have won Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. And he said, I didn't like, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, I didn't like the way I was leaving the University of Texas. Like, I didn't want to leave the program that way, which was basically losing to Washington and being an 8-win team. He didn't want to leave the program that way. And think about this. Go back and listen. In his farewell video, he references something I've talked about for years. Leave it better than you found it. And he basically references that, hey, I'm glad to say I left it better than I found it. That is why he said he didn't want to leave. He didn't bring up anything about his own selfish ambitions. He didn't talk about his, dreams to play in the league. He said, "No, man, I didn't want to leave Texas like that." That's the guy who came to play for Texas, not at Texas. He said, "I don't want to leave the program in that way."
That's that culture you've been talking about. I loved it. I loved it.
Oh man, the guy's gonna be hard to replace. All right, that linebacker room though with Anthony Hill, I will say, and Leon Lafau, Mo Blackwell's coming back there. We assume. I mean, I think the linebacker room is actually in a good place. Ideally, you would have won. I mean, they've had two really good players in that room the last 2 years. It was Demo and Jaylan Ford 2 years ago. It was Jaylan Ford and Anthony Hill last year, kind of taking over the role. And you just had some Bender you threw in there. And then I wonder going forward, Anthony Hill's going to be that guy. He's got to be that dude. Will it be Mo Blackwell? Will it be Leon Lafau? Will it be who's going to be that other guy at linebacker?
We'll find out in spring. But yeah, I'm with you. Someone has to step up. Someone has to take over that leadership role and also those snaps, because middle linebacker. You know, that heart of your defense. That's a big spot.
It's going to be crucial. Yeah, exactly. Central nervous system of the defense. Speaking of, let's stay on the defensive side of the ball before we go to the offense. There hasn't been an announcement yet about Jahdae Barron. You know I'm a huge Jahdae Barron fan. No announcement yet. That seems to be good news for Longhorn fans. Seems like, I mean, he's got till the 15th to declare, but no news yet is good news that he may be deciding to come back. I don't know exactly where his draft prospects are. The guy's going to get drafted. A lot of it will be based on his 40 time and how he tests. But that guy's an NFL player. We all know that watching him. What are your thoughts about Jahdae Barron, and what are the odds Jahdae Barron comes back to the 40 acres, CJ?
It does feel weird that we haven't heard anything yet. You know, there's been 7 Texas Longhorns that have made announcements to go to the NFL so far, not including a Christian Jones or Devondre Sweat or guys who are, you know, completely out of eligibility. I figured by now we would have heard about Jahdae Barron. You know, there still is a week before the deadline comes for the NFL draft. So it's not like it's a foregone conclusion that he's returning. But I put it last week on Texas Football, Coffee and Football that I heard it at 50-50, that a return is in the works for Jahdae Barron. Ooh. So I don't want to get over my skis right now, but should he return, talk about that importance or that kind of impact we could possibly see of a secondary with Jahdae coming back with Makuba, Derek Williams, a Michael Taffy, the 2 cornerbacks out wide with a Gavin Holmes as well. It feels like you could be talking about a secondary that is certainly more athletic, but also in a position to probably see an increase in production.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a liability, right? If Jahdae Barron comes back with the veteran experience you're going to have at the corners, Derek Williams should be leading the way at safety. It shouldn't be a weakness. It shouldn't be a liability. Now, will it be a strength? That's a different discussion altogether. But this season, I think we could all agree the pass defense was a liability for most of the year, and we saw that exposed in the Sugar Bowl versus Washington. So I'm with you. And what capacity are we going to see Jahdae Barron in the secondary if he returns? If we're that lucky, I think he should be cross training. I think he can help you solve problems, manufacture depth at different positions, but also solve problems whether you have productivity issues in the secondary somewhere or performance issues. You can move that guy around. I know he's your nickel, and that's important, especially at the central nervous system of the defense. But, man, I think you can put him at corner, and he can help you, situationally like he did this past season. I think you can put him at safety at times, depending on if teams are attacking you there, if the matchup is advantageous to you there. I just think he's a piece you should move around. But I don't know how he feels about that, but I think he's got that kind of ability.
He absolutely does. And we didn't see it a whole lot of him playing outside of that nickel and star role for Texas this year. But in key moments, when Texas needed a body somewhere else on the field, it was Jahdae Barron that they started moving around. If you go to that Kansas State game, late into that overtime and late fourth quarter moments, he was playing outside cornerback. They threw him out there when Ryan Watts went down to say, we need a guy that we can trust in these late game situations. It's Jahdae Barron. Late in the Washington game, when Texas felt like they had to get, some fresher bodies, maybe a little bit more of an explosive athlete back deep to cover the deep ball, it was Jahdae Barron who played a couple snaps back deep at field safety. So he's already shown some versatility behind the scenes. I think right now, like you were saying, if you can open that up a little bit more in a return in 2024, I mean, the sky's the limit for what could be on the field at a given time. Personnel is not an issue now when it comes to this. hypothetical makeshift Texas secondary as the result of the versatility that Jahdae Barron brings to the table. Incredibly encouraging if he does come back to the 40 acres in 2024.
Now let's discuss the possibility of him leaving. Yeah. He does leave. Essentially, it combined with Ryan Watt's declaration that he's going to the NFL and the 6 DBs now we've seen in the transfer portal, 5 of them safeties. That would be a total of 8 defensive backs that you would be losing in this acquisition cycle here. That's a lot. And I know you're bringing in 5 in the recruiting class. You're bringing in Makuba as well. But if they do lose Jahdae Barron, who has to be considered to be one of the guys that steps up in the secondary in your eyes if Jahdae Barron does indeed have to test his chances, test the waters in the NFL?
It would have to be a guy like Jelani McDonald. I think it'll have to be that sophomore jump into a rotational playing situation for him. When you talk about the safety situation specifically, we've obviously talked about how often Texas likes to rotate their safeties, get them on the field, get them acclimated to the snap count and the speed of the game. Michael Taffy is back. Derek Williams is back. Andrew Makuba now is into that nickel star role, you would assume. So who kind of fills that rotational spot? I think, to me, it's going to be Xavier Filsaime and Jelani McDonald. I think you lean a little bit more on the guy who's been in the system for a year and has a year of college football under his belt. So for me right now, it's got to be Jelani McDonald to make that next jump and be that guy that you can say, yeah, we can put him on the field and we can trust that he won't be too out of position. Yeah. So I like that. I like McDonald there because I trust what I have outside at cornerback. I like Manny Muhammad. I like Terrence Brooks. Gavin Holmes is fine as a third cornerback rotationally, but it's got to be where Texas was most vulnerable this year at safety. That has to be an improvement. It starts with Xavier Filsaime and Jelani McDonald.
Yep. I love that. I've heard so much about Jelani McDonald and his versatility as an athlete back there. That's one of the things they're promoting in the secondary. They want more speed, they want more versatility, and they want more guys that can cover. Those 3. Absolutely. You can do those 3. You have that in your skill set. There's a good chance that you will be prioritized in that Texas secondary. All right, let's talk about the other big announcement. We're waiting on it, and I think a lot of Longhorn fans were hopeful that A.D. Mitchell might return. I think he considered it. Maybe that's why the announcement took so long. But this is a guy that is getting first-round grades from a lot of analysts who do NFL draft analysis, and they have him mocked anywhere from the bottom of the first round to the top of the second round. When you're getting those kind of grades, CJ, you go. And A.D. Mitchell, he's gone.
Yeah, kind of in the same boat as Jahdae Barron. It felt like, the longer this one kind of played out, like, yeah, maybe, but like at the end of the day, when you're receiving a first-round grade or a very early day 2 pick, there's no reason to stay, really. So for A.D. Mitchell, it makes all the sense in the world to go get that NFL career started, go make a name for yourself nationally on the big stage. And, I'm all for it. I think it's very exciting. It's one more receiver in the NFL that from the University of Texas that we get to celebrate, back on Saturdays at DKR when they're playing the Longhorns in the NFL highlights. We'll get to see A.D. Mitchell scoring touchdowns. So I'm for it. Can't wait. But, yeah, it's a big loss. And now Texas is tasked with replacing Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington, Jatavian Sanders, and now A.D. Mitchell. So it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit.
Yeah, that passing game has got to replace a lot of targets. It's got to replace a lot of explosive playmakers. Let's stay on wide receiver for a while because, you just said it. Without now A.D. Mitchell leaving. By the way, A.D. Mitchell, draft prospect-wise, I do think he'll be drafted early. The only thing that may penalize him in the evaluations in terms of the data points will be his speed. So he's got to run a decent 40, whether it be at pro day or whether it be, at the combine. Anything high 4.4, low 4.5, mid 4.5, he's good. High 4.5s and 4.6s may get him in trouble. That may drop him down a little bit. But he's shown everything else on film: body control, hands, catch radius, precision route running, high ability to high point the ball, contested catch ability, almost everything you need to see from him. He's already shown the ability to do on film. I just think that what they'd want to see is high end potential, and that's what they'd want to see him, run a decent 40 time to justify drafting him that high. If not, then somebody will get a hell of a value in the second round for AD Mitchell. Either way, it's a deep wide receiver draft. They'll say that every year because it's the deepest position in football at any level, but you'll have 3 wide receivers potentially taken in the first 12 picks. So that'll be good for AD Mitchell because I think he's rated anywhere from 7 to 8. 7, 8, 9th best wide receiver. So AD Mitchell right now heading to the NFL. Let's stick with the wide receiver though. So what does it mean for Texas? That means they're losing 5 wide receivers. If you include the transfer portal guys, Isaiah Nayor and Casey Kane heads to UNLV, Isaiah Nayor heads to Nebraska, and you include the guys that are leaving eligibility-wise, exhausted by Jay Witt, X-Man, and AD Mitchell, declaring for the draft early. A lot of targets that are leaving. What is Texas doing to address it via the transfer portal right now?
Oh, well, there's a lot. It's almost a where do you want to begin? CJ Daniels from Liberty was on campus this past weekend. Texas will also be hosting Silas Bolden from the Oregon State, a little 5'8", 5'9", little jitterbug. He's a quick guy, but you see the film and you're like, oh boy, this guy is fun to watch. So you understand why he's coming in. Texas is after a couple more guys. LeJontay Wester out of Florida Atlantic, a Tom Herman disciple right now. So that'll be interesting to watch. And then obviously Bryson Rogers from Ohio State, not necessarily fitting the production mold. I think that might be a hindrance in Texas's pursuit of him. And then Dorian Singer's a name that we've heard pop up from USC, from way of Arizona as well. So a lot going on in the portal. Rod, I kind of want to float this by you. Who takes over that Jordan Whittington kind of? Let me pummel you into the ground on screen in the screen game. Like, I don't know if there is a guy right there. AD Mitchell took him quite a while to get acclimated to being a blocking wide receiver. Xavier Worthy necessarily was never that kind of guy.
That's good.
If you're looking at who the personnel is right now for Texas, is there I don't think Jahdae is a big blocking guy. Matthew Golden certainly doesn't have the physical frame.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I don't know. That's a big part of Sarkisian's offense.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
A quarter of those passes go behind the line of scrimmage. If you don't have the guys that are willing to block defensive backs and safeties, it takes away a chunk of that offense. It's something to ponder right now.
That's a great point, CJ. I didn't think about that because there are even some 12 personnel snaps, or when Sark will go 21 personnel, we'll put Jay Witt out there. Instead of AD Mitchell, it'd be Jay Witt and X-Man, or Jay Witt and AD Mitchell, because he wanted him out there for the blocking. Because it was going to be a run play, or it's going to be a wide receiver screen, or a running back screen. He's like, no, I want Jay Witt out there blocking. It's basically another blocker. And there'd be times where he would run. There's some run plays where he would motion Jay Witt back into the formation and essentially use him as another blocker. As another blocker in the run game. He would have him crashing down from a block. He loved Jay Witt in the run game. So I didn't think about that, CJ, but man, right now I can't think of one because his rotation of receivers is so tight. We haven't had an opportunity to see a receiver even have the chance to execute those blocks. But you're right, man. Oh, now you just see. Now you got me more anxious. Now I'm more stressed out, CJ. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also exciting because you see the big play opportunity from Matthew Golden. You see on film and the statistics of CJ Daniels and Silas Bolden, the big play home run ability is there. We know that Jahdae Cook is, a borderline 5-star guy. We saw the big play against Baylor, some catch after or some yards after catch ability on the reception from Malik Murphy early in the year and Arch Manning against Texas Tech. We know the promise of what Jahdae Cook can bring with this group collectively. There's a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
But with Sarkisian specifically, we know how often he likes to get the ball out quick and let his guys work.
I love that.
A large part of that is blocking. And I'm not sure right now. That's why we have all the spring. That's why we get to, kind of figure out these issues and hypothetical problems in spring ball. But right now, that's kind of the top of my mind in terms of what has to improve and the questions we got to figure out from this wide receiver room.
Yeah, it's crazy. If Savion Red was still playing wide receiver, I'd say him.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But he's not playing wide receiver anymore. Maybe they'll move him back. Who knows?
Maybe a flip back. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He could be that guy. That's a great point there, CJ. All right. Last little discussion here before we get out of here. I want to ask your thoughts really about the national title game. We don't have to make predictions or anything like that if you don't want to. I just want to get your thoughts on Washington versus Michigan. I got a lot of respect for Washington, and honestly, I don't know what's going to happen in this game. Best offense in the country versus the best defense in the country. Anything could happen.
Well, I don't know if you saw, Rob, on Twitter, I put out Texas 37, Washington 31 prior to the Sugar Bowl, just for that score to be flipped and that to be the outcome. So I don't know if I want to throw out another score prediction, but I do like Michigan to win this game. I'll be pulling for Washington, but I think this is one of those games where Penix is going to have to be near perfect or put up a near replica performance to what we saw against Texas for Washington to have a chance here. Michigan's too deep on both sides of the balls in the trenches. I think offensively for Michigan, they should be able to, and this should be their game plan, where they just run the football down Washington's throat for the duration of the ball game. That should be the approach. If it becomes a shootout and we see what happened last year against TCU, that plays into Washington's favor. But if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I'm kind of taking the approach that we saw against Penn State, where Michigan said, oh, yeah, we're just going to run the ball 30 straight times, and there's nothing you can do about it. That should be what they do against against Washington. If it's not, it opens the door just a little bit more for some Penix magic. So
I know.
We'll see.
Yeah. The Penix magic is the thing you worry about. He's just so hard to sack. He's so hard to get down. He's the toughest quarterback to sack in college football. Whether you're blitzing or whether you're pressuring him, there's no doubt about it. And I think that's going to end up being – because I don't even know if Michigan's DBs can hold up for that long against that wide receiving core. They're just that damn good. They really are. We see – hell, those Alabama DBs, a lot of them when we drafted in the first round, Texas wide receivers cooked them DBs. If a quarterback's got time and the wide receivers are good, I'm a DB telling you, DB's going to get cooked.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. If Penix buys himself some time, man, he's going to cook the Michigan DBs. I'm telling you. So that's what I worry about. And I'm telling you, I won't worry about it. I'm actually rooting for Washington too because they beat Texas. So at this point, go ahead, do it. So I think you might see some Penix magic. I'm seeing some Penix magic randomly happening. They do. I think Washington may end up putting off the upset. Hell, they've been upsetting their entire way to the national title. Been upsetting teams. One more quick shout out to our sponsor, John Donovan, president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John is a proud Texas Exes Life member. We call him lifetime Longhorns like CJ and I. His wife and 6 of John's siblings, all UT grads. So they lifetime Longhorns. They're deep. It's a legacy there. And this deep Longhorn legacy and family tradition led John to dedicate his firm to providing total wealth management for Texas alumni, employees, family, and friends. John is a certified financial planner who has spent over 30 years, 3 decades, folks, providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to all of his clients. Longhorn Wealth also repeating their offer right now, extended to each and every Longhorn alumni, employee, or fan, a free 90-minute consultation to explore how Longhorn Wealth can help develop and maximize your tax-free and tax-efficient financial future. So please give John Donovan and his Longhorn Wealth team a call at 972-707-4900. That's 972-707-4900, or visit longhornwealth.net. All right, CJ, thank you for the time as always, brother. And we'll talk again on another edition of Talkin Ball. Appreciate you guys out there for joining us on Talkin Ball. And until next time, hook 'em.